Hello, welcome to Lamb Living. My name is Holly Lamb, and I'm coming to you from beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. This is the Thrift Flip Road Trip, and this is our beautiful pier down where we call the Village. This is a big park. You can see a little peek of our lighthouse there. And I want to thank the Crafting Cousins and Unicorn Dust Designs, that's Trish and Kay and Sammie, for hosting this fun road trip. This is an open playlist, and so this is going to be linked in my description box below. You do not want to miss this playlist. It will be fabulous. There's some great creators on there. All right, so we're walking to the public access to the beach here at St. Simons, and from my church. I was here on a Wednesday night coming down for choir practice and decided to come out and get a little bit of video for you. It looks like the tide's out. When the tide's in, then it comes all the way up to the Johnson Rocks there. And then you saw a little peek of my church. Okay, 62 degrees. A little brisk for St. Simons in early March. But we are going to be focused on this beautiful light green color, sage blossom, and pistachio in honor of the trees down here right now. This is a live oak, which we have all over the place. They have not started blooming their new leaves. They keep leaves all year long. They're evergreens. But those deciduous trees look just like that, just bursting with green, dropping lovely green pollen all over our cars and porches and everywhere. And so that is the theme for today. Here I am at the Goodwill in Pooler, Georgia. We went up to visit the Mighty 8 Air Force Museum. Took my mom and dad up there and we wandered all over. What a beautiful museum. After lunch, we stopped at a big old Dollar Tree to treat for me, and I restocked my square beads. And then we stopped at Pooler, Georgia's Goodwill, and it's a big one. And so they didn't have a bins, though. I was a little disappointed, but we went in their Goodwill, and it was a big old Goodwill, and I ended up with a big old basket and a big old bill because we know that the Goodwill has gone crazy with the prices, but this was a good deal right here. My mom found this for me, the big green basket, and I also picked up that interesting vase. We'll have to save that for another day. Very interesting shape. I just couldn't pass it up. So anyway, this big olive basket was very, very pretty. If it had been fall, I would have left it this olive color. I loved it. It had a little bit of distressing, but we're going to take a chip brush here, and I want to keep some of that olive. I want some layers of color. So I'm not going to spray paint it. Now, if I wanted it to be all this light green, I would have taken it outside and spray painted it that Krylon pistachio. It's a satin finish, but I'm going to stick with my chalk paint here by Folk Art. This is Sage Blossom, and it is almost exactly the same color as Pistachio by Krylon. I look for that spray paint all the time at Lowe's. They have a hole for it, but I've only found it there once, one can, and so they're always out. So I saw 2 cans when I was out getting my mystery box at Michael's a couple weeks ago, and they had 2 cans of spray paint in the pistachio, so I grabbed them both. And I've got 1 can that I'm using in this video. Look how pretty that looks with the distressing. I just used my baby wipe and kind of loosened the chalk paint just a little bit. I only gave it 1 coat because, again, I want that green, the dark greens and the light greens to kind of mix a little bit. I just want to brighten it for spring and summer. But, and then I want to distress back and get some of that basket color, some of the olive color to come through. I went with the grain of the basket weave so that it would look kind of natural. Yeah, so I love that Sage Blossom. I also got that Folk Art paint at Michael's that day. I went ahead and stocked up on some paint. All right, so I want to go ahead and give it a top coat, but I don't want to contaminate my little quart jar there. It's still got a little bit of top coat in it. I've been working on that can for about a year now. And so I'm going to pour some out into my paper bowl and then give it a nice thick coat. I'm going to paint inside and out because it's going to take a beating. This is going to, hey, there they are. This is my spring napkin stash. If you haven't seen any of my napkin exchange videos, I've got a playlist in my channel. I'd love for you to go and check it out. And if you like the content and what you see here, go ahead and click that subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a video. Okay, now this is my store. This is my Goodwill bins, and we have the outlet store. We have an outlet side, and we have a regular side, and I love the outlet side. That's my favorite. And so I'm pointing to myself there because it's got some holly leaves on it, and my name's Holly. And so I found her. Did you see her in a little box there in the bins? That was a real lucky find there because it was perfectly in great condition because it was in that nice little box. And so we're going to take the Christmas out of her a little bit. I love Christmas, but I collect little bells, and so I've got lots of Christmas bells, trust me. So we're going to make her a little bit more springy. Now I'm showing you two different waxes here. One is a clear wax that I've put a little bit of white acrylic paint in by Folk Art. And then the other one is the white Waverly wax that I get at Walmart. And my Walmart still has Waverly. I understand from some other crafters that Waverly is going away in Walmart, but it hasn't yet in mine. So there she is. She's got her clear wax on, and she looks good. I wanted to go ahead and do that because that red dress that she had on, I was afraid even with 3 coats of chalk paint that this white wax, as I rub it back, to give it its nice chalky finish, I would have rubbed back some of that red. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to see any of the red come through. So sometimes I like it when the original colors pop through a little bit. But on this one, I think I wanted just to keep her that beautiful sage blossom with the white wax and give her that little creamy look. And she looks gorgeous right here on my kitchen counter beside my salt and pepper shakers and prayer cards that I got at the Dollar Tree, but I'll show you those more later. And she looks lovely with that white wax in all the little places in her dress and her face and her hat. Gorgeous. I love it. All right. Now we're back at the Goodwill bins, and I found this Easter basket, but it didn't have a bottom in it. And I also found this tarnished silver basket. And if you know me, you know I love tarnished silver. And then this candlestick was made out of resin. It wasn't that heavy. It's got a little bit of heft, but not too much. So this is not real wood. So I thought I'm going to go ahead and paint it. I'm going to spray paint it that pistachio. But I want to do a little, of course, it went into the Dawn dish soap in the hot water in the sink. Everything gets washed when it comes back from the bins and dried. And so it sits out and gets dried. And I'm going to rub this candle wax. This is just a pumpkin candle from the Dollar Tree that I use to prepare different projects for paint so that I can use my scraper and distress. And I don't have to use sandpaper. So this resin was perfect for that. And then this tarnished silver distresses beautifully. And so the only thing I had to take off of this after it got washed is a little sticker made in China. So I wasn't too worried about painting that because it wasn't anything too terribly special, but I thought it was pretty. Now, anybody who threw that in the bins and saw this basket must have thought, whoever picks this up is crazy. But look, it's going to be the perfect little wreath form for my kitchen sink. I'm going to redo my kitchen sink windowsill. And so I started spray painting with the pistachio, and I'm giving full coverage to the candlestick and to the silver basket. But I started putting my first coat on the wicker basket with all the colors, and I really liked what I was seeing. I liked that little bit of those spring colors kind of peeking through the pink, the yellow, the purple. We'll come back to that. Let's start with an easy one. This tarnished silver distressed back, so easy. And you can just see that little shiny bit of silver coming back. And because it's in a satin finish, I decided not to wax it. It kind of leaves it open for me to do something else with it in the future. If I decide to go with a different color, I think another color would be gorgeous on it as well. So I can easily do that with maybe a textured paint or a different finish. But look how pretty that looks with my napkins in it from the Dollar Tree. It's got just that little bit of shiny distressing from the silver. Ooh, I love it. Okay, now you see my Pampered Chef scraper there. You see all that texture on that resin candlestick. Look how it came out. Remember that candlestick? It was brown. It was a resin brown, but it's distressing back with a gold tinge to it. When you get up close, you'll see. You can see the brown. You can see some gold coming through. Honestly, I have no idea where that gold came from. It must be under the brown. So I'm just uncovering another layer. The candle wax must have loosened up that brown just a little bit. And I'm pulling off some gold from under it. I love it. Oh my goodness. So white wax makes everything better. So I'm going to go ahead and get in the cracks and crevices of this beautiful candlestick. And it is almost unrecognizable from what it looked like laying in the bins. How beautiful, with a little bit of that dark distressing with the gold and the brown, and then we've got that layer of green, and then a layer of this chalky, beautiful waxy finish. I am in love with this candlestick. All those layers of texture and color. I just rub hard. I'm just almost burnishing and buffing this, and it just leaves the prettiest color. I put it right there beside my bird house I made for the last video. I did a collaboration with Trish and Kay last week, and I made that bird house, and it's also on my spring playlist if you want to check that out. And that is a silver cup that I painted with the sage blossom, but I did not wax it. It's only clear, well, it's clear waxed. It's not white waxed. So you can see the difference between the white wax of the creamy finish it gives. All right, now see those pretty colors? Why would I want to cover that up? I love those. That looks so pretty. So that's one coat of that pistachio Krylon satin finish. And I know it's a satin finish, but I still wanted to wax this. I'm going to put a garland around the outside after I secure this handle to be our hanger. But I want to reserve the right to change it out. So I didn't want it to get too terribly scuffed up. And so I just did a clear wax there. And then I'm going to take some thread in the same color, and I'm going to tie it off and twice.
Sorry.
I'm going to go around. Oh, goodness, my Siri doesn't, so nosy. So I'm going to tie this twice, and then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue. There we go. There's our hanger. Little dab of hot glue just to give it a little bit of support. And that'll never be seen once I start wrapping things around it. But I just wanted to make sure with the thread, 2 layers of the thread, the hot glue, it's going to hang beautifully. Okay, now this is just a garland from Walmart. My husband brought this home one day. He thought I would like it, and so he has quickly stopped that. My craft stash has gotten to be extensive, and so he says he's enabling me when he brings things home. But he did bring this home a long time ago, and so I'll give him credit for that. And so I'm going to take this, and I'm simply going to zip tie it to the handles that are already, connected with the hot glue and the thread. And so now I'm just going to pull every sprig forward and down, forward and down, forward and down, and it just hugs that basket. And who would have thought that a bottomless Easter basket in the Goodwill bins could turn out to be a perfect little wreath form for spring. But this lamb's ear and eucalyptus garland was just perfect for it. it wrapped around and made that sage blossom color, that pistachio color that I am so digging right now. It looks so pretty. And don't you just love zip ties? Gosh, could that have been any easier? One on each side. I zip tied the garland together, and then one zip tie on each side of the hanger, and boom, we have a beautiful wreath. There it is. There it is at nighttime, and then here it is in the daytime. You can see all that pretty green behind it in my neighborhood, my neighbor's yard. So pretty right there. It just decorates. I love it. Gorgeous. Okay, now you got a little glimpse of my next flip. We saw these bamboo umbrellas in the bins one night. We were there after dinner, and those were the only two things I got that night. It was crazy. I usually come out with a lot of things, and it was $2.23, so I had them round up. So I ended up spending $1.50 on each, but, you know, they were really just $2. But they have a little damage. Now, the blue one has no damage. It's very strong. But this one had a little damage there on the bottom and that one tear on the top. So I decided I'm going to reserve I'm not going to do much to this umbrella. I'm going to leave the handle bamboo colored and match the already distressed looking bamboo there. I'm not going to open it up. I'm going to use it kind of like a vase and put some dried flowers in it there. And I'm going to take that little, it's actually a tissue that came in a little tissue pack. But honestly, it separates just like a napkin, and it's as thick as a napkin, as a fine napkin you put on your dining room table. And so it had 2 plies I had to pull off. And so I'm going to cover just the nose of this umbrella. I'm just going to kind of trim that back, and then I'm going to Mod Podge with my matte Mod Podge, right? And then I decided to cut off a little band that I'll use to put around the outside, kind of as a finished edge, because this is a rounded surface. It's not perfectly straight, so I knew I'd have to do a little bit of piecing, and there might be some folds, which was fine. And so I'm going to I didn't want it to glue completely to the umbrella, the bamboo, ribs. And so I just take a little bit of tape and some parchment and just attach it there, and I kind of tuck it up under my the little green piece of paper there. It was kind of a paper, not really a tissue. It was thicker than a tissue, but it was certainly thin, and that's why I guess it got the tearing. But I'm just going to Mod Podge this real pretty napkin. It just had the pretty green and the off-white with a little bit of a distressed brown in the background, which was perfect for the colors for our umbrella. And then I'm going to take some dried florals that I also thrifted from the Goodwill bins a while back, and I'm going to put inside the umbrella as flowers in a vase. I'm just dabbing that down there. Now here comes little trim. I'm using some toilet paper roll right there that I was using for tissue. We do what we can here in the Lamb home. Okay, I'm using that as a little wedge. Now here comes the band to try to make it all cohesive, and so I'm just going to wrap that around and decoupage it down. And once it's dry, it kind of keeps the umbrella from opening all the way up. It kind of acts like a little filler, so that it keeps it more like a vase and not like a real umbrella. So I'm not going to have it, flapping open while it's sitting there upside down on my windowsill. There we go, and I'm going to show you. It just opens to that. That's as far as it'll open now that we have that little band on it. So I just take a little bit of Scotch tape. Yep, I believe I got that tape at the Walmart. And I'm going to go on the inside Give it a little tape. I want to reserve the right to take off this green paper and maybe put something else in between the ribs. Because the navy blue one is pristine. It's set for some nautical something that I can do for summer. And it doesn't have any damage. But this one, I might have to replace that green with something else. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe Christmas. I don't know. So here are those dried florals that I dug for in the bins one day. And they look great. Now I have one more finishing touch I want to put on this umbrella. And I'm taking that thread again. Here comes that thread out again. And I'm going to wrap it around a lot of times. I have no idea how many times I wrapped it around. I just did it till I thought it was secure. And this is going to, for sure, keep it from opening up any more than I want it to. And that thread spool, you're going to see again in one more flip here in just a few minutes. We're almost to the last one. But look how pretty. And no paint was required here, just a little Mod Podge, a little bit of thread, and it just is darling right here with my cutting board and the bamboo ribs and the handle. Looks so beautiful right here with the trees in the background and the lamb's ear and eucalyptus on the wreath. I just love it. Okay, now here's the last little flip that I'm going to do for us in this great thrift flip road trip. We're back on the road to Pooler, Georgia. Pooler is kind of a suburb outside of Savannah. Savannah's about an hour from us here on St. Simon's, and if you go north an hour, you go to Savannah. If you go south an hour, you get to Jacksonville, Florida. So we're kind of nicely equally spaced here in the Golden Isles. Okay, so I brought these home. They were $2.99 each. They're iron, so they're heavy. And iron distresses like a dream. It's so great. So I take my Sage Blossom by Folk Art out one more time. And I'm going to give it 3 coats, as I usually do when I chalk paint to distress. And I'm going to go ahead and get all sides because I'm going to be putting them in the window, and I want it to look good from the outside. We have lots of walkers. People who walk by walk their dogs. And so I'm going to go ahead and get it all over. Darling, that Sage Blossom is great. Okay, I'm showing you that I put a mask on whenever I distress chalk paint indoors. I don't want to breathe that in, and so that's why I'm putting a mask on. But if I were outside, I probably wouldn't worry about it. But it was a late evening that evening, so I went ahead and put on my mask. Once I use my baby wipe to moisten it a little bit, and then just a little light distressing with that nail file, and it just distresses so easily. Beautiful. And I go ahead and get the bottoms as well. And look how pretty that iron distresses. Ooh, I love it. All right, now I could have left it just like that and put some clear wax on it and been happy. And I'll show you the difference. After this one's white waxed, I'm going to hold up and show you the bottoms because they both are gorgeous. But I'm going to go ahead and since we're using those dried florals, I wanted to go ahead and put that light color on there. And there we go. There's the white wax on both tops. Now I'm just going to do one bottom right here, but then I go ahead and white wax both of them. So there's the white wax, painted on and rubbed off real hard and buffed. And there's it, just distressed. Love them both. Okay, so they're all waxed and all dried and ready for decorating. Now, this one had the backing, which I painted, and I'm going to take these prayer cards, came from the Dollar Tree in Pooler. When we were up there going to the Mighty 8th Air Force Museum, we stopped there, and they had the prayer cards. I don't know why my I've never seen these at our Dollar Trees here in Glenn County, but they're great. And so I got one of each of the sets. I should have gotten two. I'm kicking myself for it. But I'm going to use a corner here out of one of these. I'm going to keep that prayer card, though. I'm not getting rid of that for sure. And I'm going to use that pretty white flower that was in there. And I can always change that out, of course. Beautiful. And then on this other one, those prayer cards are going to be saved for summer. Those, the floral ones, I'm putting on my on my counter there with the napkins and my salt and pepper shakers and my little bell. All right, now the other one I'm going to use as a frame, kind of not like a frame, more like a wreath. And it's a wreath form. And I'm going to put these little bundles. I'm going to put a little bundle going one way. And here comes that thread again. I got real good use out of this thread in this particular episode. And I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and a little bit of thread and put these little bundles on. I'll do 2 bundles per side, so 8 bundles in total. And then I'm going to put the offcuts, those straight stems to the dried flowers, on the back. And I'll put a few floral with the little heads on them on the back, but mostly it's going to be just the stems on the back, just to cover up the back side. There wasn't anything wrong with the back side. It was just, it obviously looked like it was missing something. I painted it, but it looks much better filled in, I think. And so I'm just kind of rolling that thread through the middle and around and through the middle and around, and putting just a little dab of hot glue, and then putting on my florals and wrapping it with the thread. And it turned out so pretty. Look at that. A little wreath. Now, I held up my other one and I thought, oh, he needs a little something. So he got a little corner of dried flowers too. I love it. And there they are, both white waxed with my little white wax terracotta bunnies for spring. I love them so much. Oh my goodness. I want to thank Trish and Kay from the Crafting Cousins, and of course Sammie from Unicorn Dust Designs for hosting this thrift flip road trip every other month. I look forward to it so much. And I want to encourage you to go out and check out the playlist. It's going to be great. And I also want to leave you with a scripture. Luke 12, 6-7 says, "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies? Yet not one of them is forgotten in God's sight. But even the hairs of your head are all counted. Do not be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows." So beautiful. What a wonderful thought of our loving Savior who brings spring and renewal in our lives. We just have to look for it. So from the blue house on the corner, thankful for every minute. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.